I was surprised at how many people wrote in and said, Sarah, I want to know more. Like, how did you decide you were going to stand up and say something about your industry? You guys know my life's work, literally my life's work is about showing women how we've been trained to not listen to our own instincts. There's a great book that I reference all the time. It's called Failing at Fairness, and it was written by a husband and wife team. It was initially written in 1995, so if you're like, oh my gosh, that was so long ago, they rewrote it, and the rewrite is called Still Failing at Fairness. That was about how the stats hadn't changed much, even though they'd published this great research and they'd talked about everything. And when I talk to you guys about how young girls don't raise their hands as much by second and third grade as they do in kindergarten, right? That's from their research. So that's where that comes from. So I want you guys to know that if you want to study more about how women are trained not to talk or trust themselves, that's really what has informed my work all this time, right? So I just want you to know where this is coming from. And part of what I see in that book, and I still see it, is that not only are we taught not to say what's there for us, we're actually discouraged from it. So we're taught not to, and then when we do, it's discouraged. So that has made specifically my industry, but it could also, I want you to apply this to yours, right? You guys asked me specifically how I came to this understanding for myself, right? So as your coach, I want to open that up so you understand the human process behind what happens, right? Because sometimes we just see the end result and we're like, oh, that's cool, but not understanding actually what happened leading up to it, if that makes sense. So I want to talk about that. And as we have been trained not to trust ourselves, it makes us specifically susceptible to just doing what everybody else tells us to do. I'm sure you've run into that in your own life. Think back to grade school, like, should I send that boy that note? Should I not send him the note? I don't know. What should I? And you get the posse of girls around you, right? Like telling you what to do all that time. Or for those of you that realized maybe you weren't going to be straight and this was like not the way you wanted to play this world. It's like, who do you talk to about that? But you almost don't trust yourself, but you kind of fight for yourself. And like this constant struggle we're all in as we grow up in female bodies in this world right now. Okay, so I hope that sort of resonates with everybody, no matter where you are on your path. You know when that starts for yourself, where you'd like defer your best judgment to other people. Now, I am a fighter, as you guys know. I am a fighter for women's voices on all levels of the spectrum, right? I don't care what that female voice is. If there's a female voice, I want it to be heard for the people that need to hear it. Right? So your own audiences, for those of you that are in fitness, to teach women not to beat the heck out of their bodies, right? That to love their bodies and nurture their bodies. For those of you that are inside the mental health space, right? Having people understand that a mental illness is just the same as having, arthritis or pancreatitis. Like it's something that just has to get addressed. It's not separate. But I want us to remind each other that we have what it takes already. Doesn't mean you don't ask for advice or bounce ideas. That's very different from not trusting your own instincts. So what happened to me over the last month, because you guys asked, and I really want to work hard to always be transparent, is everything just felt wrong. I'm not trying to be cryptic. I'm not trying to be like, well, No, it was like, I should go, I don't want to. Nope. Now, I went into great detail with this in the monthly group. So those of you that are not members yet, please know that entire membership group is there for you. I went live in that group specifically to talk about it and laid it out. And there's a memo coming out to follow it today as well. All right, so if you're not in that group, you might want to get in there because that's where we really I just talk like we're talking to the girl gang, okay? So I want you to know that is available to you and that is there. All right, if you want it. And if you don't, you know me. Cool. So the biggest thing I want to tell you guys about how you know something's off, okay, physically, we as women, we need to actually feel things sometimes because you guys know how I always talk about how a woman's mind is multifaceted. Like there's literally more gray connective tissue between our two hemispheres, right? So I talk about that all the time with you guys. And that same connective tissue is part of why we feel things physically. Okay, so there's a couple ways you can be feeling intense emotion that's getting processed physically. All right, so you might tremble or shake when you think about a certain thing. Have you guys ever gone through that where you're like, right, like that sort of a feeling? You can yawn. Interestingly enough, how many of you just yawned, by the way, just because I said it, right? It's so contagious. So when you're feeling intense emotion, you might yawn, you might laugh hysterically, and you might cry. But all of these are ways for you to recognize that an emotion, now you get to recognize what emotion it is, but there is an emotion that's working its way through you physically. Okay? And we really feel that. I want you guys to be empowered with that knowledge because you've got to know that. So if you're about to purchase something, right? If there's some assaholic coach trying to ram something down your throat and you start to feel that and it doesn't feel good, pay attention to that. That's your body responding. Now, it could be on the flip side, right? Imagine when you're about to go on stage or you're about to do a live and you're like nervous, but it's wonderful. That's different, right? It's the same physical responses, but you got to listen to the underlying conversation, okay? And really trust yourself. Okay, so with all this stuff going on, I hope you guys are really understanding that you have everything you need already. Now, for those of you who are anticipating working with a coach or joining the membership or whatever it is for you, right? Whatever that is, what you want to understand, a coach's job, and I will give you advice, I'll support you, I'll do all that stuff, I'll let you know what the industry standard is, and then I want you to tweak it. Don't do it because everybody else is doing it. I'll say this is the industry standard, go break it. Right? And that's how ingenuity is created. That's how beautiful new businesses are born because someone goes, I see that's the norm. I don't want to do that. I'm going to do this. But you got to know what the norm is in order to break it, right? So that part's super cool. I love that part of being a business coach because we get to dive into the industry and be like, I hate that part. Kind of like what I'm doing, right? So there's that piece. But a coach's job, right, is not to fix you. There's nothing wrong with you. That's a marketing tactic that's been shoved down your throat and it's not true. There's nothing wrong with you, okay? And we've all done stuff, and I go into great detail on this in the Game On Girlfriend Project. How many of you have done the personality creation part of the Game On Girlfriend Project? That's in there. Because we created a reality that we then reinforce. And then we reinforce it again. And then we reinforce it again. And then you go, see, I'm broken. You're not broken. We just need to clear some stuff out of the path so you can walk forward and be who you really are. And that's what a coach does. Oh, and by the way, coaches always need coaches because we have to be responsible. We have to be responsible and make sure we're not transferring our hidden junk on our path onto you, right? So a responsible coach is always being coached so that we can clear out the stuff. And that's what I was doing over the last month when things started to feel really awful. That's what I was doing when I wanted to just wipe everything off my desk and run away, right? And it was like, I don't do that. And that was when I knew something was wrong. Because the way that I normally am inside my business, the way that I view the love and the passion and the heart I have for my business was changing. And I was like, what is happening? Something was off. You want to come back to who you really are because that's why you created your business in the first place. Right? You didn't create your business to be exactly like Joe Schmo's business. You didn't create your business so you could copy your latest coach and do it exactly the way they do it. You created your business because you wanted to create your business. So go create your business, right? And then what's going to happen, you guys, when you expand yourself like that, you're going to come up against where you think you're not supposed to expand like that because of what you told yourself, because of how you've designed your personality, because of how you've created your work ethic. And you did that, and that's cool. We all did. There's nothing wrong. That's the design of being a human being. And so my job as your coach is to help you figure that out so you can undo it. And when you bump up against the next edge of challenge, right, where your brain starts to go, no, you told me we couldn't do this. You told me. You get to go, oh, I did tell you that. I'm sorry. Let's undo that now. And let's create something new in its place. So it's about a constant form of creation forward, designed by you, not designed by me, not designed by the other BS marketing you see out there, by you, by what you know, by your experience, by your talents, not mine, yours. You have everything you need. And that's why I say if you don't work with a coach, you're going to be fine. Is it going to be harder? Probably, but that's okay. You'll learn from that too. That's your call, right? It's like, sure. Or you can have somebody shoulder to shoulder with you going, oh, let me sweep that out of the way for you so you can continue to walk forward. Oh, I'll sweep that too. Let's go. Sweep that too. Let's go. right? And sometimes you're like kicking rocks and dirt in your own path. You're like, no, it's fine, right? And we come in and go, actually, let's get that out of the way for you, right? That's the process. That's it. It's not magical, and it's not like if you don't do it, you're going to die. Okay? I was just thinking about the lockdown and the foundation of Coffee with Coach, right? Because we're coming up on the anniversary. Can you stand it? It's almost been a year. And I don't know, you guys remember I asked you at the very beginning, I said, what do you want to make sure you do by the time this is over? You remember I asked you that? Because we were on serious lockdown, like could not go anywhere but the grocery store, like not the pretend lockdown we're on now, but like seriously, like a lockdown, right? I kept thinking, what do you want to get done before this is over? And I had such a twinge this last week. We found out my son's going back to school. He's been 100% home. His high school's been 100% home. And they're going back on March 1st. And I had such a pang. It was like, oh, no. It was like the first time for me, just given my situation. And I'm sure some of you might have already run into this, but for me, I was like, oh, it's almost over. Like this peace, for me, it turned into this peace, this connectedness. Like, where on planet Earth could I hear my high school son respond to his science teacher? Like, oh my God, what a gift. Like, I feel like I know him on a level. There's no way. If he was in school, by the time he gets home, all that stuff's washed off of him. All of the social interactions are gone. And instead, I've been able to watch him go through it like line by line by line by line. And what a gift. And I got super sad. I was like, it's almost over. Now, I'm lucky my kids are older. And if they were younger, this would have been a lot harder. And I fully recognize that. This is just my situation. But it reminded me of what I asked you guys about when we first started Coffee with Coach. And that is, what do you want this to look like at the end? Right? And just keeping that in mind. And so I say that to you about maybe the next quarter of your business, right? Like up through the summertime. What do you want? Are you thinking of it like that? What do you want to make sure you get done by then? And who do you want to be in the face of what's happening by then? Right? And to all of our beautiful people in Texas, we love you, and I'm so sorry. And all I will say about that is the importance of, you guys know I touch politics all the time because it's deeply important to me. And for me, politics is simply how we decide we're going to take care of each other. That's it. That's it. And I mean, like, politics as a career, right? I'm not like talking about politics inside of corporations. I'm talking about politics as a career, governmental politics. What that's about is our joint decision about how we're going to take care of each other. And you can see what happens when we don't have that in place. And it's real. So keep that in mind too. How do you want to take care of other people? How do you want to take care of your clients? How do you want to take care of your family? And what do you want this to look like for you? So the physical indications that something was off last week. For me, it's always the solar plexus. I don't know if Karen's on today, but Karen actually replied last week. I was like, it's right here. What is that? She's like, it's your solar plexus. I'm like, thank you. Thank God for beautiful people who know things like that I don't know, right? Right there was just off. And it would wake me up in the middle of the night. And it was just like this constant, like, I don't want to do this. And I had to like dissect down, what is this? I know I love coaching. I know I love my membership. I know I love my one-on-one clients. I know I love the sprint. What is this? And this was the marketing. This was the story of the coach that I did not want to tell anymore. That's what it was. I had to break that down. But that's where it manifested physically, along with just like, I would come and sit down at my desk and just want to run away. But like I said, there's more about that in the membership. So the next thing I want to talk to you guys about is the power of integrity. People think integrity is moral, right? Like, she has such integrity. That's not the definition I have here. So integrity simply means you honor your word. End of list. Okay? Like, that's it. If you said you're going to be there at 10, you're there at 10, right? And if you can't be there at 10, you immediately let the person know. Right? And I don't know if you guys know that scheduling is like the bane of my existence. It's like typos. I don't see typos, and I am always warped around my own schedule. It's why I love Rita so much, because I'm always like, how did I just get triple booked? Like, what just happened? Like, I have this thing around scheduling. It's very challenging for me where it's like, no. And a part of it is I want to say yes to everything for sure. But the other part of it is I think I can do more than I actually can do, right? That's why I talk to you guys about productivity all the time, because I have to deal with it all the time. Because I'm like, yeah, sure, I can write my memo in an hour. At least 2.5, right? Like, chock full of typos too, right? Like, it takes a while for me to actually get in the mode to get things done. And once I'm in it, I'm awesome. But I have to honor that I'm going to get interrupted 15 times, right? That like my dings, bings, work, and I work so hard to turn those off, but they still happen, right? Plus I have 2 human beings in the house with me who sometimes need to come in here and print something, or the cat's hungry, or the dog needs to get like, right, life, okay? So with integrity, right, for me it's scheduling seems to be where I'm really tough, but it's also around honoring your word. Now, what this means is you keep your promises, you show up on time, and the moment you realize that that's not possible, you say or do something to put the integrity back in, right? I'm so sorry, I just got stuck behind a train. I'm gonna be 5 minutes late. Integrity's back in. Got it? So it's not like some mythical thing like, oh, you're late, it's over, integrity's out. No. But what integrity is like, you guys, is honoring your word also means you honor the highest version of yourself. And that's what I was not doing without realizing it, right? My word was out. I don't manipulate people to work with me. And that was starting to happen. Not like I was like, well, if you don't, I never did that, but I was starting to touch on the edges of that world and it felt awful. But it's what everybody told me to do, right? And it was like, no, no, no. And I'm walking like, here's the edge. I'm no, no, no. And I pull back. Right? But it took me not sleeping and feeling weird and not wanting to work for me to wake up enough to recognize that. Now, I'm lucky I didn't get really sick, right? I'm lucky I didn't do something stupid. We've all done it, right? We've all been there. We're like, this doesn't feel right. This isn't, and you just keep going, right? For a lot of women, that seems to be romantic relationships. That can happen. Like, it's really hard to put the brakes on that. Like, I don't want to be in this relationship anymore. Leaving your job, right? For those of you who are in the insiders group and you're like, I want to quit my job. I hate my job, right? Like, there's that moment of like, I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here. And then now your integrity's out because your word, your highest self is telling you something and you're not honoring it. Does that make sense? So you know when your integrity's out. For me, it's solar plexus. Sometimes it's my chest, right up here, like the elephant on the chest feeling, like that sort of, right? So you just want to pay attention to where it shows up physically for you because it will show up physically. Keep in mind the other physical manifestations of emotion trying to work its way through you, okay? And then the last way that integrity can be out is if you find yourself omitting things from the people that you love, right? So if you're not telling your friends and family what you're really doing, if you find that you're hiding things, like maybe, I don't know, totally made this up. Oh, I had a friend who ran a bookstore for a long time in town, cutest bookstore ever, right? And she's like, I hate putting things on sale. She's like, somebody buys something on Monday and I know what's going on sale on Tuesday. I feel like a jerk, right? That's kind of hiding something. That was like the best example where she's like, this doesn't feel right. And she's just stopped doing sales. She's like, that is ridiculous. Why would it cost this much here and then this much there? No, it's the same book. And she just refused to do it. She stopped. And of course, the business succeeded. Right? So it's like, you got to listen to yourself. So that's where the integrity can be out. Those are some of the warning signs. You're kind of hiding something. You're not telling the full truth. Or, and it's not like you have to go out there and tell everybody everything. I don't mean that. But like inside your business, you can see the sale thing. The full truth would be, hey, this is going to be on sale tomorrow if you decided to keep doing sales, right? So you tell people that, you're like, and sometimes you'll see department stores do that, like, hey, don't come back and get it next Wednesday and then we can give you the sale price, right? So that's kind of like not hiding it, right? So you just want to think about those things for yourself. And again, you get to decide where the integrity's in and where it's out. You know, right? You know, you're like, And that's where I was last month, you guys. It was just this constant, like, and it was succeeding, by the way. And I'm like, right? So that's what we have to listen to. The more you keep your integrity in, by the way, the less tolerance you'll have for having it out. And pretty soon being 5 minutes late is completely intolerable for you, right? Or having a sale when you just, it wouldn't even occur to you anymore, right? And the way I want you guys to think about having your integrity in is I want you to think of yourself as this beautiful, gorgeous, high-functioning race car. Right? Gorgeous. Like you are beautiful. You hit the turns right. You're in the zone. You're like you and the pavement are one, right? Like it is just, and it's beautiful. You could see the scenery going by and it's gorgeous, right? And at that speed, you hit a little tiny pebble, you're out. Like it will knock you out. You're gone, right? Because at that speed, the road needs to be pristine. And that's your word. right? Your word has to be pristine. The other way to look at that, when your integrity is totally out and you're like this big old beat up car that like weighs 9 million tons. You guys remember those from the 70s, 80s? Where are my people? Like that, do you remember how freaking heavy those cars were? They were like tanks. They were just huge, right? Right? And you hit a pothole in one of those, it's like, boom, and you just keep going because your integrity is totally out. You don't even care. Meanwhile, when your integrity is in, you can't even hit a pebble. Does that make sense? And all that is, that's your tolerance for keeping your word, or I'm not going to keep my word today. You just hit the pothole and you just keep going. Make sense? That's one of my favorite analogies for keeping your integrity in. We talked about coming back to your experiences, and then the little exercise I want you to do really quickly when you feel like the noise is too loud. Okay? When you guys feel like the way I did last week, where it's like, if I see one more effing coach in my newsfeed, I'm going to throw my computer out of my window, right? Like that's really how it felt like these people are just destroying my industry. They're giving coaching a bad name. This is not what this is designed to do. This is not why I'm doing it. It's not why most people got into this, right? Okay. So this is the quick exercise. I believe this was Tony Robbins, and I love it. But you just put your hand on your heart and just feel it for a sec. You can close your eyes if you need. It doesn't take more than 10 seconds. Just feel it. You feel that? That's all that matters. Without that, feel it. Everything stops. Without that, you can't do anything. So when it gets loud, come back to that little beat. You feel that? Just come back to that and thank it. Thank you. Thank you for keeping me alive all day. Thank you for beating quickly when I'm not in integrity. Thank you for letting me know when I'm not honoring my best self. Take a deep breath. You can close your eyes during this exercise if you want, if you need that kind of like cutting off, because we are just inundated with blue light all day, right? Deep breath in. Exhale. Open your eyes. And then get to work. Make sense? Thank it. That thing keeps you alive all day, and it works so hard. It gets the blood all the way down to your toes, all the way to your freezing cold hands, right? All the way to your brain to help it function, your eyes to see, your voice to speak your truth. That's happening all day without your permission. You don't tell it to do that. So stop and say thank you and come back to the truth, which is without this, nothing else matters. Come back to that truth and create from there. And it's borderline magical. You know, I don't do like, it's pretend magical. It's borderline magical. When you get back to the truth of what actually matters, everything else starts to get into alignment. All right? All right, ladies, I love you guys to bits. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day today. For those of you in the membership, your memo will be out in just a few minutes. I hope you guys really enjoy that one. This month especially. And this Thursday, I wanted to let you guys know this. So I have a PR mentor whom I love. She's actually become one of my favorite colleagues. Her name is Amanda Berlin. I believe she's in this group. Yay. She is hosting a webinar for you guys, right? For the Sarah Walton people. She's hosting a webinar on the 3 pillars of PR. And what I like about Amanda, you guys, is she goes along the same vein that we do. No BS. No crazy bro marketing, none of that stuff. But it's like, if you guys have something you love and adore and you want to get it out there, she will help you do that. So that webinar is this Thursday at 11:30. There was a link in the email that went out today, and we will add a link to the Coffee with Coach description today. So you guys can just register for that. It's totally free, but she'll talk about the 3 ways that you can help get heard in the middle of all this madness. Okay? All right. I love you guys to pieces. Have a beautiful week. I will see you next Monday. Bye, guys.